Josh Beavers. I teach junior and senior English at a small high school in Louisiana, Lakeside Junior Senior High School. And what I'm going to be doing is, since we're in quarantine and I can't teach my students in person, I'm going to be going over ACT English with you over the next series of videos, the ACT English specifically. And I may do some reading as well. Can't help you on the math. Can't help you on the science, but I can help you on the ACT English and also on the ACT reading. The reason why I'm picking ACT English is because ACT English is mainly grammar. Matter of fact, it's pretty much all grammar. And I've discovered that a lot of times when kids get to me, they don't understand grammar. They don't remember the grammar rules because of the way the education system is set up. Basically, grammar is not taught anymore. It's not in the curriculum. It's all reading comprehension, which is awesome, which is important. But basically, when you're taking the ACT, you got to know the grammar rules. And it's kind of put on me to remind everybody of all the grammar rules they're supposed to have before they take this test. So if you can benefit from it as well, that's awesome. The way this is going to work is I'm not going to sit and make an hour-long video each time. I'm going to work through one passage per video. So these are released tests, and I'm going to go over, so 15 is what we're going to do today. 15 questions, one passage. I'm going to focus so much on the big picture questions because the main thing I'm trying to do is teach you the grammar. There are basically one or two big picture questions per passage, sometimes less and sometimes none. I'm mainly going to teach you the grammar. I hope you can understand how you use semicolons, what parenthetical expressions are, redundancy. If you can figure those three out, basically, then you understand the majority of the ACT English. It's not hard. It's pretty much the same kind of questions over and over and over again. It's very simple. The test is beatable simply because it has the same type of questions every single test. The passages change, but the test questions stay similar, period. Let's get going. All right, so our first passage we're going to do the first 15 questions as one passage. Here, the title is Eddie Sweat, A Groom's Groom. You can look right here, Secretariat. All right, this is a video about the famous racehorse Secretariat. And we're going to go through them. All right, so here, read all this down here. Now, one of the main things you got to do, there are different ways you can take the ACT, different ways you can read the English part. All right, so we're just going to skip down to the ones that are underlined, though. We might talk about strategies for taking the ACT English in another video, but we're going to go straight to them. All right, so number one, no matter what you do, you got to read the whole sentence. You can't just read this one part down here. All right, so while many factors contributed to Secretariat's success, selective breeding, top-notch trainers, and a skillful jockey, to name a few, the expertise and diligent care of the horse's groom, Eddie Sweat, who deserves some of the credit. I hope you can read this and just tell that it doesn't sound correct. So much of the ACT English is simply, if it sounds correct, it is correct. If it doesn't sound correct, it's not correct. All right, but that's just a way to head it. So let's figure these out. All right, so Eddie Sweat, who deserves? All right, it doesn't sound right. So here are our options over here. All right, is it correct? No, it's not correct. B, Sweat, semicolon, who deserves? Well, we already said that who deserves, with who in there, it's not correct, okay? All right, so you can eliminate that one. You can eliminate A and B, and now you're down to C. All right, Sweat, comma, deserve, Sweat, semicolon, deserve. I told you, semicolons are a huge deal on this test. If you can understand semicolons, you can do well on the test. A semicolon joins independent clauses, which is basically two sentences. This deserves some of the credit is not an independent clause. All right, you got to have an object in there. All right, I mean a subject. Excuse me. You got to have a subject in there, subject, verb, etc. to make a sentence, an independent clause. So right here, this is the only one that makes sense. C, and it starts reading like this: the expertise and diligent care of the horse's groom, Eddie Sweat, deserves some of the credit. Answer is C. All right. Number two, this is sort of a big picture question, but this one's easy, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. At this point, the writer is considering adding the following true statement. Another key figure was Ron Turcotte, the skillful jockey who rode Secretariat to victory in the Triple Crown races. It's asking you, should the writer put the addition in right here? right here, to. Well, the answer is J, no, because it detracts from the paragraph's purpose of introducing the essay's main topic. This is going to be an essay about this Sweat dude, Eddie Sweat. We don't need anything about somebody else. Why do you throw in information if you don't need it? So much of the ACT English is they're trying to test, do you know how to say what you need to say as concisely as possible? So J, because it detracts from the paragraph's purpose. All right. 3, although, we don't have to read that part. Okay. A groom's basic tasks include washing and brushing the horse, trimming its mane and tail, and they clean its hooves. All right. This is something called parallel structure. Just like in geometry, parallel lines, they go the same. That they don't touch, they're the same. So right here, brushing, trimming, and they clean. No, you have to have the verbs the same, in the same. ING, because look, there's an ING right here. There's an ING right here. So this has to be an ING as well. Brushing, trimming, cleaning, period. You don't say LeBron James is good at shooting, rebounding, and block the ball. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't sound right. Again, I said, if it sounds right, it probably is. If it doesn't sound right, it isn't. Parallel structure. Moving on to 4. Which of the following alternatives to the underlined portion would not be acceptable? So in other words, 3 of these are correct. 1 is incorrect, all right? A groom also cleans stalls and takes care of riding equipment. So the answer here is H, in some. This is a transitional, all right? In some means in summation, in total, okay? I'm sorry it keeps turning blue because every time I click on it, it does that. I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't distract you. So 4 is, this one is incorrect, okay? In some. In some means this is over with. This, we've already told you everything you need to know. We're summing it up. We haven't. You're going on here and you're adding in all of these. Additionally, in addition, also. Think about something. Here, you can tell this one right here. Look, additionally, in addition, also. These words all mean the same thing. So if you're looking at this, if they're asking you which one is not correct, this one means the same thing as this one, means as this one. The only thing that means something different is that one. Number 5, those whom witness sweat with secretariat attest that his care surpassed the usual duties of a groom. Okay? Of a groom. A who-whom question. People freak out about who-whom questions. Very simple. All right, I pulled this up here. This is an awesome lady. She's explained it better than I can. Shundela Allen on Grammarly. Who-whom. Whom should be used to refer to the object of a verb or a preposition. When in doubt, try this simple trick. If you can replace the word with he or she, use who. If you can replace it with him or her, use whom. Who should be used to refer to the subject of a sentence. Who should be used to refer to the subject sentence. Whom should be used to refer to the object or verb or preposition. Look right here. They said if you can use it with a he or a she, use whom. All right? Put who in right here. He who witnessed sweat. Okay? He witnessed sweat. Period. You wouldn't put they. What do they say? Him or her. You wouldn't say him witnessed sweat. He or she witnessed sweat. Also, y'all, for the most part, who and whom, 99 times out of 100, who is going to be the answer. Like, I hardly ever see whom, except for it's like, to whom does this concern? To, etc. All right? So remember what he said, he and she. Put he right here, which makes sense. Him witnessed or he witnessed. All right? So the answer is B. Number 6. He talked to the horse constantly. He'd soothe him in Gula, a Creole English language, etc., etc., etc. All right? You don't have to read the rest of this to answer this question. This is a semicolon question. And I'm telling y'all, well, it is a semicolon question, but it's also a ing question as well. All right. So he talked to the horse constantly. He'd soothe him in Gula. All right. Now the answer, the ACT is very tricky on the English. they'll throw something at you, and you may have heard it from your teacher. Like, I'm going to tell you something about semicolons later, and I already did a moment ago about joining independent clauses. So look, this is an independent clause, and this is an independent clause. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, we can put a semicolon in there, all right? You see semicolon right here, H, and you're like, hey, okay, Beavers said we can put a semicolon there, join independent clauses. Look, though, look what it's changing. It's changing it. It's taking the heed out. So it's making it not an independent clause. It's making it a dependent clause, this part right here. So the answer, what you got to do is you got to go with J, because J is the comma that joins an independent and a dependent clause. J is the answer to 6. All right? Do we understand this here? I don't know if you understand it or not, because I'm not in class with you, but I'm going to explain it again. Right here, a semicolon would be correct right here if they didn't change this part. See? They changed it to soothing. They took out the heed and changed it to soothing. So J is the answer. 7. After cooking Secretariat a mash of oats and corn, he'd watch him eat, taking note of any changes in appetite. Notice for him while the horse was eating. Y'all, this is redundancy. If you have redundancy, means you've already said something and you don't need to say it again. If you say it again, you're repeating yourself. This is a huge part of ACT English. Okay, this is grammatically not wrong. It's not wrong grammatically. None of these are grammatically wrong. On the ACT English, there may be questions that have more than one right answer, but there's only one correct answer. It's usually the redundancy one. So right here, noticeable him while the horse was eating. You've already said he'd watch. So if he were watching, it's going to be noticeable. You don't have to have it. Just delete it. Just delete it. Another thing, 99 times out of 100 on the ACT English question, if they have delete, that's the one you go with. But I've seen it numerous times. If they have delete on 1 or 2 or 3, where that's the question, that's the answer, there's going to be one later on to where that's not going to be the one. They are very tricky. They are very tricky on this test. All right, number 8. All right, so this is the same. Okay. He'd also examine Secretariat's teeth, take his temperature daily, attention to any signs of illness or distress. This doesn't sound correct. Attention to. It doesn't sound correct. It just, when you read it, it doesn't sound correct. Attentive to. Attentive to. Why is it not of these? We know it's not this one because it doesn't sound correct. Attentively to, that doesn't sound correct either. Attentively, it doesn't sound correct, y'all. All right? Attentive to. All right? He is attentive to. Say them in your head. Say them out loud. Does this make sense? Does this sound correct? They don't. All right? Number 9. All right, so look at this word however. However is a transition that goes with the other sentence. So you can't just read this sentence. You got to read this sentence. Sweat, number 9, yeah. Sweat would spend extra time massaging the horse's legs, applying healing poultices made from herbs he had gathered. However, on nights before big races, he'd even sleep next to the horse's stall. All right, this is, what am I on? Number 8? No, I'm on number 9. Yeah, number 9. This is redundancy again. This is redundancy, and it's also opposite. Look, sweat. No, I apologize. Take that back. It's not redundancy. It's the opposite. All right. However, indicates that there's a change between one sentence and the next sentence. All right. But look, he's saying here that he does all this stuff to the horse. He takes care of the horse, and then on nights before the big race, he sleeps next to the horse to soothe the horse. So he doesn't change anything here. He takes an extra step. Same thing right here. Therefore, for example. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, there's nothing wrong with for example. All right. Well, there's a couple things wrong with it. The main one is redundancy. You don't need for example. Just put on. It's simple. The simplest answer when there's more than one that might be right is the one you go with. If you don't know, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't know, go with the simplest one. 10. The writer wants to divide this paragraph into two in order to separate the general information about a groom's duties from the specific details about Eddie Sweat's work as a groom. The best place to begin the new paragraph would be at, all right, now I'm going to tell you the answer, but I'm not going to go over this one in depth because it'd be easier to go over this one in depth in class because you'd have a copy in front of you and I could work it out on the board, but you don't. So I'm just going to tell you the answer to number 10 is G. Okay? 10 is G. All right, 11. We're almost done. We're only going to do to 15. 11 is D. Sweat's constant companionship and expert care kept Secretariat healthy and calm in stressful racing environment. Look, you don't need commas here. Constant companionship. The companionship is constant. You're not separating it. It's one complete thought, period. The answer is D. The answer is D. I just want to make sure. Look, y'all, I take these ACT tests too. Every time I get a new one, I take them to see how well I do on them. And so I'm just making sure I told you the right answer. At this point, the writer is considering adding the following accurate information. That involved much contact with the public, grueling training sessions, and frequent travel. Should the writer make this addition here? They're saying right here. All right? The answer to 12 is F. Yes, because it names some of the stresses. Look, it's talking about how Secretariat was stressed. The sentences before this, it was talking about how the owner, the groom, the sweat dude, would calm him down. So look, we're talking about how stressed the horse is under. So yes, you need it. All right, but also it's not providing examples of what sweat does. It's not telling anything. That came above. It's talking about some of the stresses that Secretariat endured himself. Very good. All right. What I mean by that is, why does he need all this extra care? Why is this sweat dude having to calm him down? Well, because this is all the stuff he has to do. This is why he's stressed out. Cause and effect. He's stressed because all these people are doing things to him, and he's a horse. And effect, this dude takes care of him. All right, 13. The answer to 13 is A. When a bronze statue honoring Secretariat was unveiled at the Kentucky Horse Park in 2004, it featured not only the Triple Crown champion and his jockey, but his groom, Eddie Sweat, as well. Okay? Again, this is another common question. It's correct the way it is. It's correct the way it is. 13 is A. It's correct the way it is. Why? Because you don't need these commas in here. You don't need all parenthetical. It's what I call a parenthetical. In other words, parentheses around it. A parentheses is something you don't need. It's added to give more flavor. You don't have to say this dude's name. You could cut Eddie Sweat out and the sentence would read, his jockey, but his groom as well. The sentence is fine. This information is not needed, but they don't give you the option of getting rid of it here. All right? So, no change. It's correct the way it is. But look right here, comma. Look at this. But these other options, look, put the comma right there, etc. And then let's get rid of this. His jockey, but as well. See what I'm saying here? All right, that's what it's telling you to do. It's telling you to put a comma in right there. All right? And then if you read this, it would show, and his jockey, but as well. It doesn't make any sense. It's a parenthetical expression. Parenthetical expression. And we're going to get more into parenthetical expressions because they're all over this test. The statue depicting Sweat with his left hand gripping the lead rope, his right rests on the horse's side. This is another parallel structure. Parallel structures all over the test. All right. Gripping, resting. Whatever this is, this has to be. With his left hand gripping the lead rope, his right resting on the horse's side. All right. 15, given that all the choices are accurate, which one most effectively concludes the sentence in the essay by reinforcing the essay's main topic? This is a big picture question, but, whoa, no. Yeah, it's correct the way it is. 15 is A, correct the way it is. If you've made it to the end, you have gone over a essay section about Secretariat, the famous racehorse. Thank you for watching. Tomorrow or the next day, whenever I can get a chance to make the video, we're going to talk about geology in the Himalayan mountains. Again, parallel structure and semicolons are huge. Parallel structure, semicolons, and parenthetical expressions are huge on this test. I'm going to go over every single one of them ad nauseum to where you get it, to where you can get that ACT score up higher. We're going to go over time-saving strategies, all kinds of different things while we're in this quarantine. So thank you. See you again later.